Good morning, guys. So let us continue with the topic of the rise of nationalism in Europe. Now, till now, we had seen actually that the famous struggles once again led by the revolutionaries. We had seen the advent of Napoleon. We had also seen how Napoleon got defeated. We also saw that how come once again the conservatives actually took over. We also saw that how the monarchies were re-established and the part were being equally divided in between the Russia, for example, Poland was given to Russia and the Genoa was given to Piedmont and so on and so forth. So we saw the rise and the fall and the rise and the fall again and again. But if you have noticed one thing, the nationalistic feeling did not go away. It was right over there. So let us now see once again now what happened post this. Poland, as you know, that which was actually being partitioned by Russia, Prussia and Australia, and they were so called the great powers at that time and even now. Okay, now anyway, Russia, Prussia and Australia, which at that particular time, Poland was no longer existing, right? As an independent territory. Why? Because Poland was actually given to Russia, right, in the Treaty of Vienna. So nationalistic feelings kept on coming once again. Now during these particular times, how do you think these nationalistic feelings actually got spread? They actually got spread with the help of music, folk, dance, stories, rhymes, hymns, and by the way the poems and so on and so forth. So the national feelings went on to continuously, spread deeply with the people in the form of music and language. Now, if you can see, there is this particular guy known as Karol Kurbinski, or Karol Kurbinski was this particular, famous artist who actually celebrated his national struggle, not his national struggle, as mean his men's national struggle. जो लोग जो national struggle के अंदर martyr हो रहे थे, शहीद हो रहे थे, उन सब लोगों के लिए इसने opera and music shows जगह जगह पर रखना चालू किया. And these operas and musics were very provocative, and they used to mobilize public, right? And they used to brainwash the public for the part of that, see that these particular people are fighting for your national interest, so you also need to participate in this freedom struggle. After the Russian occupation, as I already told you, after the Vienna Convention or the Vienna Treaty of Vienna, after Russian occupation, Polish language was forced out of the schools and the necessary establishments. So Poland की जो national language थी Polish, उसको बाहर निकाल दिया था, and people were forced to learn a new language named as Russian, because of course जिनकी territory होगी उन्हीं की language आपको बोलनी पड़ेगी. Rebel crushed. Sorry. After Russian occupation, Polish language was forced out. Now there was this armed rebellion. Armed rebellion मतलब जब लोगों ने इकट्ठा हुआ, उन लोगों ने arms कहीं ना कहीं से इकट्ठे करे, and there was this armed rebellion which actually took place against the so-called invasion of Russia. But see, Russia was a superpower, so let's face it that few men, even if they are taking arms, they won't be able to do much of the damage. So that rebellion was crushed very badly, and the language later on was being used as a weapon of national resistance. So this nationalistic feeling did not die. Even some of the soldiers, some of the people in the form of soldiers were martyred, but yet the feeling actually did not die. And who was responsible to make sure that people realize that they don't belong to Russia, but ultimately they belong to their own culture, which is Poland or the Polish culture. So Polish used in churches, priests. Later on, the churches and the priests and all those high people of higher respect actually started speaking Polish as a national, weapon to show these Russians that we are united and we will not bow to you. Okay. So this was used as a weapon of national resistance against Russians, that we will keep on speaking Polish no matter how, and no matter what could be your way of treating us or converting us into Russians, we will still be Polish. Now these kind of teachings and learning of course came from higher respected people like the churches, or from churches like the priests and the bishops, and these priests and bishops were sent in Serbia, for a jail sentence to be served. So they were all sent in the Siberian jail. Let's move on to the next topic. This is around page number 17 or 16, I guess. Hunger, hardship, and popular revolt. Now remember, till the time in these kind of countries where somebody else is ruling and people are not liking it, even if the public is living under a comfortable kind of position, people will never ever shout against the rulers. But when people's comfort zone would be questioned, when their hardships will keep on increasing, when they have to, struggle for each and every bite what they are eating and even, their families to survive, then comes the revolt. And that's what exactly happens. So the next, around 10 minutes would actually guide you through. So this is very, very important to understand how this popular revolt actually got generated. In 1830, the great economic hardship actually came in the year 1830, the depression. Okay. Population, of course, in all the parts of the Europe went up drastically. Population बहुत ज़्यादा ऊपर हो गया था. And with the rising population, there was huge amount of. Everywhere there is this common scenario that the population would rise. If the population would rise, common sense, there is going to be more, job seekers than actually the job available. That means there's going to be huge competition. Under the so-called monarchical rule, it is understood that of course those particular people would be, preferred or would be chosen first who would be having some sort of, arrangement made with the higher people or the contacts. The population went up, unemployment also, went up. There were these, people from the villages which were unable to, get any decent salary or any decent kind of earnings, and they all, flocked the city. And because of that, there was this huge slums which were now being made up, and these slums had got literally the worst kind of facilities if a person could think. Now, these were not crowded slums, these were overcrowded slums, so there was no place, right? Also, now the problem is, even if they have come now, how will they find the job? Now we can see there was this cheap machine goods. Now cheap machine goods were actually, coming right from the part of England, who was far more developed at that particular point of time. Now textile was one of the main, source of income for the part of England, and that led to what? That led to actually the depletion of those so-called jobs which were actually being created by those small homeowners who used to actually process these textiles within their confinement of their homes. इसका मतलब जो लोग घर पे ये सारा का सारा छोटा मोटा सामान बना रहे थे, अब इन लोगों का क्या हो गया? These cheap so-called imports right from the part of England ने उनका वो भी जो earnings उनको मिलते थे वो भी पूरे के पूरे खत्म कर दिए. अब जब लोगों के पास में earnings नहीं है and people are still searching for the way to live every single day out, and that's where they felt that now is the time to revolt against the monarchical system. Also, as you know, 1 year of bad harvest. What do you mean by 1 year of bad harvest? जो खेती होती है, जो फसल होती है, जो हार्वेस्ट होती है, वो खराब हो गई, बारिश नहीं आई, due to any number of reasons, but the taxes actually don't go down. When the taxes don't go down, of course, public has nothing more to now do. Now what they will do is, of course, they will revolt against the so-called unjustified policies. Feudal system was also one of the reasons why people were revolting. Guys, you already know this particular system right from the part of India to all the way to different other places. Peasants were not being given their rightful salaries or their rightful earnings which they ought to be, and that's what created a kind of rebellion. In 1848, a very important year, you will come to know why. In 1848, population of Paris. So population of Paris out on roads, and Louis Philippe was forced to flee. In the year 1848, so all these, the peasants, the literate and the middle educated or the middle class educated men, and all those liberalists actually came up on the road and they started protesting, and the protest actually just went out of control. And the Louis Philippe, if you can remember, Louis Philippe was that so-called ruler, okay, who was ruling at that time. Now Louis Philippe was forced to flee. Flee means वो उसको भागना पड़ा वहां से, क्यों? Because he knew that if he is going to be over there, crowd जब गुस्से में होती है वो किसी भी चीज को नहीं पहचानते हैं. National Assembly. Now finally all of these publics actually proclaimed that now we are a republic, and they allowed everybody the universal suffrage. Now what do you mean by universal suffrage? The right to vote. That means that every person who is residing over there who is above 21 has got a right to elect their own government, which was primarily one of the most important demands. So if you can see, there was being granted suffrage to all above the age of 21, which was not previously. There were those cases if the property would be over there, then only you will be allowed to put a vote. Once again, remember, suffrage means the right to vote. Okay. 1845, again very very important date, and this was the prequel or the precursor to what happened in 1848. In 1845, there is this particular place known as Silesia, and there were these weavers who started what? Revolting. And why would the weavers revolt? Weavers are a very peaceful, community. They would do their task. They'll weave those textile or the yarn which is being given to you, the raw material being processed, and they'll finish it and submit it to the contractors. But इनमें इतनी जान कहाँ से आ गई कि ये rebel करने लगे? Problem is, जो contractors थे, contractors ने all of a sudden, because the times went bad, so they were unable to pay that much amount of money, so they reduced their payments on their daily wages drastically. अब जब contractors ने अपना payment drastically कम करना चालू किया, and of course in weavers के पास में और कोई source नहीं है income का, but only through these contractors, and they thought that these contractors are so called the bad people, and they started protesting against the contractors, as in why have you lowered our wages down. This part did not go well, and once again on 4th of June and at 2 p.m. and this is by the way a testimony being written by a journalist, and he said that at on 4th of June at 2 p.m. in the year 1845, all of these weavers actually form a huge mass, and they crowded at a particular place and started protesting. They also asked, first of all, they went directly, they marched and they went to the contractor's place, and they asked him to increase his wages or the earnings which contractor used to give him. But the problem is the contractor actually, rather than empathize with them, he actually scolded them and started, asking questions as in why or what not, and he scolded them very badly, and this led to what? A revolt or a rebellion. Now the condition actually went out of hands, and this particular guy, the contractor, had to run with his family, and he went to another village where he supposed or he asked actually for the shelter. But seeing the condition and seeing the story, the other neighboring villages also did not give the shelter to such a person. This contractor now requested the army to come in, and that's what the army did. Army actually turned up, and 11 weavers were shot. They were killed. Now why were they executed? Why? Because they were actually undergoing what? A protest, and protest under the monarchical rule is strictly no. So these particular kind of stories actually led to what happened in the year 1848, because nationalistic feeling will only arise when there are n number of different set of public which would actually come up. So you can see from the villages, the weavers were turning up. You were seeing that in the main city in Paris, there were these middle class educated, the liberalists, who actually came up, and they all started demanding only one thing, that we want the constitutional kind of structure, not the monarchical laws. Other parts of Europe, like the Germany, Italy, Poland, and everybody started demanding constitutionalism. They said that this monarchical form of government we don't like, we want the constitution to prevail. With national unification, Germany, Frankfurt, and they all voted. I mean, in Germany, of course, there's this particular place known as Frankfurt, and Frankfurt voted for all German National Assembly. Finally, now all of these demands are either met or they were being forced onto the monarchs or the absolutist form of the government that your time is all the way over now, and now let us come. And you can see German National Assembly was then being proposed in the Frankfurt by these crowds or gathering of public or people on 18th of May 1848. And this is a pretty interesting topic, but I purposely broken this topic right over here. So ये एक हिंदी सीरियल की तरह या एक इंग्लिश बड़ा थ्रिलर से सस्पेंस की तरह कल दोबारा चालू होगा. So on 18th of May 1848, 831 elected representatives marched in festive procession. अब इन लोगों ने मार्च करना चालू किया इन द वेरी फेस्टिव प्रोसेशन, एंड सब लोग जोर शोर में चिल्लाते हुए गए दैट अब हम जाएंगे टू दैट पर्टिकुलर चर्च द सेंट पॉल, जहाँ पर इनका ये कन्वीन होना था कि ये लोग पार्लियामेंट में जाकर के अपनी अपनी जगह लेना स्टार्ट करेंगे. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड? डिड दे गॉट द प्लेस? डिड दे गॉट बुलेट्स? Or what happened exactly? We are going to see that particular part tomorrow. Thanks for being with me right now, and thank you once again for going to be with me for tomorrow. Okay. Enjoy, guys. Once again, chill, relax, see ya, and keep on loving your parents, guys. Bye.